Ladies and gentlemen, we've all experienced that moment when someone we care about simply turns away, when their silence feels louder than any words could. It hurts. It stings. That feeling of being ignored or left out is one of the most deeply human experiences we face. It's natural to wonder why someone we value might choose to disconnect, or worse, to be invisible in our lives. When someone ignores you, it often feels deeply personal. The silence echoes if it's shouting something about your worth, your actions, or even your identity. But let's pause for a moment. What if that feeling isn't just about them? What if it's about you? Self-awareness is the foundation of how we navigate these moments. It's the lens through which we interpret what's happening and decide how to respond. When you're ignored, instead of spiraling into self-doubt or anger, you can choose to use that moment as a mirror. What does this situation reflect about your needs, expectations, and sense of self? First, let's talk about the narratives we create. As humans, we're storytellers by nature. If someone stops responding to a text or avoids a conversation, we immediately start filling in the blanks. Did I do something wrong? Am I not important to them? What's wrong with me? These stories aren't just random thoughts. They come from deeper places within us. Perhaps they stem from childhood experiences of being overlooked, times when you felt unworthy, or past relationships where silence signaled rejection. Self-awareness invites you to press pause on these automatic narratives. It's about stepping back and asking yourself, what am I feeling and why? Is this truly about the other person, or is it stirring something unresolved in me? The act of being ignored might hurt less when we realize that part of the pain isn't about the present, it's about old wounds that have been reopened. Next, self-awareness is also about understanding your needs. What do you expect from this person? Is your need for connection or acknowledgement realistic in the context of your relationship? For example, if a coworker hasn't replied to your email, it may have nothing to do with you and everything to do with their workload. But if a close friend goes silent, it may reveal a deeper disconnect in the relationship. Self-awareness helps you distinguish between situations where your expectations are valid and where they might need adjustment. Additionally, self-awareness helps you take ownership of your role in relationships. It's tempting to blame the other person entirely when you feel ignored, but honest reflection might reveal moments where you've also been inattentive, distant, or dismissive. Are you consistently showing up as the kind of friend, partner, or colleague you want others to be for you? Self-awareness isn't about self-criticism, it's about accountability. Finally, being self-aware means recognizing your worth independent of how others treat you. When someone ignores you, it's easy to feel diminished, as though their actions define your value. But here's the truth: your worth is not tied to how others perceive or respond to you. It exists inherently simply because you are. Self-awareness is the practice of reminding yourself of this truth over and over again, especially in moments of doubt. In these difficult moments, self-awareness acts as a compass. It helps you navigate the hurt without losing sight of who you are. It teaches you to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting emotionally. And it shows you that even when someone else turns away, you have the power to turn inward, to see yourself fully, honor your feelings, and grow stronger from the experience. So when you feel ignored, let it be a sign. Not a sign of your inadequacy, but a sign to look inward, to explore your stories, your needs, and your worth. It's an invitation to know yourself better. And from that place of self-awareness, you can choose to engage with the world not from a place of hurt, but from a place of clarity and strength. When someone ignores you, it's more than just a painful moment, it's a signal. A signal that something about the relationship dynamic might need to change. This is where boundaries come into play. Boundaries are not walls to shut people out, they are bridges to foster healthier connections. They define what is acceptable and what isn't, ensuring that relationships are built on mutual respect and understanding. When you feel ignored, it can often highlight where boundaries may have been unclear or even crossed. Let's unpack this in a deeper way. Recognizing boundary issues. When you feel hurt by being ignored, it's important to ask yourself, have I communicated my expectations in this relationship? Sometimes we assume that others automatically know what we need, whether it's consistent communication, acknowledgement, or emotional support. But relationships are not mind-reading contests. If those expectations haven't been explicitly stated, the other person may be unaware of the impact of their actions. Conversely, their silence might be a reaction to how your boundaries or theirs have been handled. For instance, have you overstepped by demanding too much of their time or attention? Or have you failed to protect your own boundaries by over-accommodating them to the point where your needs are now neglected? Boundaries are a two-way street, and moments of disconnection often bring these dynamics to the forefront. Setting boundaries to protect your emotional space. One of the most powerful things boundaries can do is help protect your emotional well-being. If you're frequently feeling ignored or undervalued, it's a sign that you might need to establish clearer limits on what you're willing to accept in a relationship. Boundaries start with self-respect. Ask yourself, what behaviors am I willing to tolerate? What are my non-negotiables in a friendship, partnership, or work relationship? How do I want to feel in my interactions with others? Once you have clarity on these questions, the next step is to communicate your boundaries. For example, if someone's lack of communication is hurtful, you might say, I value our connection, and it's important for me to feel acknowledged. When I don't hear back from you, it makes me feel unimportant. I'd appreciate it if we could have more open communication. This isn't about accusing or blaming the other person. It's about expressing your needs in a way that invites understanding and collaboration. Honoring other people's boundaries. While it's crucial to set your own boundaries, it's equally important to respect the boundaries of others. Sometimes being ignored has less to do with you and more to do with the other person protecting their own emotional or mental space. For example, they might be overwhelmed, dealing with personal struggles, or simply need time alone. In such cases, it's essential to recognize that their silence isn't necessarily a rejection of you. It's a reflection of their need for boundaries. Respecting this can prevent unnecessary conflict and foster empathy in your relationships. When in doubt, don't assume, ask. You could say, I've noticed you've been quiet lately. Is everything okay? I want to respect your space, but also want to make sure we're good. This approach acknowledges their autonomy while keeping the door open for reconnection. Reevaluating relationships through the lens of boundaries. Sometimes being ignored is a sign that a relationship has run its course or needs serious rebalancing. If someone consistently crosses your boundaries, whether by ignoring you, dismissing your feelings, or making you feel invisible, it might be time to step back and reassess the relationship. Healthy relationships are reciprocal. They thrive on mutual respect and understanding. If you find yourself constantly giving while the other person takes, or if they only show up when it's convenient for them, it's a signal that your boundaries are being violated. This doesn't mean you have to sever the relationship entirely, but it might mean scaling back your emotional investment. You deserve relationships where your presence is valued, not taken for granted. The empowerment of boundaries. Setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're not used to advocating for yourself. But boundaries are not acts of selfishness, they are acts of self-preservation. They allow you to protect your energy and focus on connections that are truly meaningful. When you establish healthy boundaries, you're not only teaching others how to treat you, you're also showing yourself that your feelings matter. You're prioritizing your emotional health over the fear of conflict or rejection. And here's the beautiful thing, boundaries, when set with intention and respect, often strengthen relationships. They create clarity, reduce resentment, and foster deeper understanding. By addressing the hurt of being ignored through the lens of boundaries, you're not just reacting to the pain, you're taking proactive steps to create relationships that honor your worth. So when someone ignores you, let it be a sign to reflect on where boundaries need to be adjusted. A sign to communicate more openly, and if necessary, a sign to step back and protect your peace. Boundaries aren't just limits, they're the foundation of the healthy, fulfilling relationships we all deserve. When someone ignores you, the initial reaction is often pain or frustration. It feels like a rejection, a signal that the bond you share with that person might be slipping away. But in every moment of disconnection lies an opportunity for reconnection, not only with the other person, but also with yourself. When approached thoughtfully, being ignored can be a powerful invitation to heal, communicate, and grow stronger relationships. Understanding the need for connection. At the heart of being ignored is the human need for connection. We are social creatures. We thrive on acknowledgement, validation, and shared experiences. When someone's silence creates a void, it's a stark reminder of just how much we value connection in our lives. This need for connection isn't a weakness, it's part of being human. It's natural to want to feel seen and heard by those who matter to us. But when that doesn't happen, the feelings of rejection or invisibility can make us question our value. The first step in the journey toward reconnection is to understand and embrace this need without judgment. It's okay to want meaningful connections. It's okay to feel hurt when they falter. Reconnecting with the other person. When someone ignores you, it's tempting to jump to conclusions. They don't care about me. They're upset with me. They've lost interest. But silence doesn't always mean rejection. Sometimes it's a signal that the other person is struggling, overwhelmed, or unsure of how to engage. Reconnection begins with curiosity and compassion. Instead of assuming the worst, consider reaching out to the person with an open heart. Here are some ways to approach the situation. Start with empathy, a simple message like, "Hey, I noticed we haven't talked much lately. Is everything okay? I'm here if you need to talk," can open the door to understanding what's going on in their world. Acknowledge their perspective. If there's been tension or conflict, try saying, "I know things might feel a little off between us, and I want to understand how you're feeling. Let's talk when you're ready." This approach shows respect for their feelings while expressing your desire to reconnect. Be vulnerable. If their silence has hurt you, it's okay to share that honestly. "I value our relationship, and I've been feeling a bit distant from you lately. I'd love to understand what's going on so we can work through it together." Vulnerability invites authenticity and creates space for deeper connection. Reconnecting with someone requires patience. They may not respond immediately, or they may need time to process their feelings. What matters is that you've extended an olive branch, signaling your willingness to bridge the gap. Reconnecting with yourself. While reaching out to the other person is one form of reconnection, the most profound and enduring reconnection often happens within. When someone ignores you, it's a chance to check in with yourself and explore your own feelings, needs, and boundaries. Start by asking yourself these questions. Why does their silence hurt me so much? Am I seeking validation from them that I could provide for myself? What do I truly need from this relationship? Reconnection with yourself also involves practicing self-compassion. Remind yourself that being ignored does not define your worth. You are valuable even if someone else is unable or unwilling to see it at the moment. Engage in activities that nurture your sense of self. Journaling, meditating, or spending time with loved ones who do value and uplift you can help you rediscover your inner strength. Reconnection with yourself is about grounding yourself in your own worth so that your sense of value isn't dependent on external validation. When to let go in the pursuit of reconnection. Not every effort to reconnect will be successful. If the other person consistently ignores you or shows no interest in repairing the relationship, it might be a sign to let go. Holding on to one-sided connections drains your energy and keeps you from investing in relationships that truly matter. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means prioritizing your well-being and respecting the other person's autonomy. It's a form of reconnection with yourself, as it allows you to reclaim your energy and focus on building healthier, more reciprocal bonds. Remember, reconnection isn't always about restoring the relationship as it was. Sometimes it's about creating space for new, more meaningful connections to flourish. The power of reconnection. Reconnection is a powerful act of resilience and hope. It's about bridging the gaps that silence creates, whether those gaps are between you and another person or within yourself. It's about choosing growth over resentment, compassion over assumptions, and authenticity over fear. When you approach moments of disconnection as opportunities for reconnection, you reclaim your power. You demonstrate that relationships matter to you, but that your self-worth is not contingent on someone else's actions. So when someone ignores you, let it be a sign not just of hurt, but of possibility, a sign to reach out, to understand, to heal, a sign to reconnect with them if possible, and with yourself no matter what. Because in the act of reconnecting, we not only mend relationships, we also rediscover the strength and beauty within ourselves. In life, we all encounter moments when we feel ignored, unseen, or undervalued. It's in those moments that we're given a choice to let the hurt define us or to use it as a catalyst for growth. The silence of being ignored can be painful, but it's never the final word. It's a sign to reflect on who we are, what we need, and how we show up in our relationships. It's a chance to examine our boundaries, deepen our self-awareness, and explore paths to reconnection, whether with others or within ourselves. Remember, your worth isn't determined by someone else's attention or approval. You are valuable simply because you exist. When someone's actions or inactions make you question, that lean into the opportunity to strengthen your foundation, build healthier connections, and most importantly, reconnect with the unshakable truth of your own value. Because in the end, what matters most isn't who sees you, but how deeply you see yourself. Thank you